30 seconds to get a little off. So I'm going to sing this. Okay, all right. In the Spirit of Christ. Amen. Really? Okay. Jesus told a lot of parables about things growing. The children's sermon today was one of them. The seeds growing on the rocky ground, seeds growing in the thorns on the path and in the fertile soil. This chapter from Matthew's Gospel really is what I call a parable chapter. It's got the sower, the weeds and the wheat, which we're going to cover today. It's got the mustard seed, yeast, yeast. It's got the guy who found the treasure in the middle of a field. He buried it back and went and spent all he had to buy the field. Talks about a guy looking for pearls. When he finds one of great value, he goes and sells everything he has and buys that pearl. And then he talks about a parable about a giant net that catches all different kinds of fish. But today, I want to look at that parable of the weeds and the wheat. It's a good one. There's a lot of things we could say about this parable. What would you say to me? Well, let me just review it in case we're all on the same page. So there's this farmer who has only good seed. It's the only kind of seed the farmer has. He takes that seed, right, and he plants it. It's wheat. Felt good about that. He put good seed, good wheat, in the perfect rows, as every farmer would. Perfect. That garden was perfect. And then while they slept, the Bible says an enemy came along and planted weeds among the wheat. Now, I'm no botanist, but I've seen pictures. When wheat and weeds are growing and they're young, it's hard to differentiate them. So at first, the master who planted the seeds and his servants that helped him, they don't know anything's wrong. But about 2 weeks later, they come out and they see big, old, ugly, gnarly weeds all amongst the wheat. And they panic. They actually ask their master, "Did you plant good seed?" And the master's like, "That's the only kind of seed I have. Is good seed. That's all I have." Then look, your garden's a mess. Look, they're big weeds. Who did that? And the master said, "An enemy came and did this tonight." And they're like, "Well, what should we do? Should we pluck up the weeds? Yank them out?" The master said, "No. Because as you pull out a weed, you might get some of my precious wheat. And we don't want that to happen. So let them both go together," says the master. When harvest comes, I'll harvest all the weeds, and I'll throw them in the fire and burn forever. Then I'll harvest the wheat, and I'll store it in my barn forever. And what does this mean? What are the weeds and what are the wheat? People. Sinners and saints. Hell and heaven. Anybody else? There's definitely a piece of that in here. That you're going to confront. The weeds are bad people. The wheat are good people. The weeds are non-church folk. The wheat are church folk. Those who are homeless are wheat. Those who aren't are wheat. See the difficulty with that, and you can definitely take it. That's what you want to do with this parable. That's why parables, Jesus spoke in parables, so they talk to you at different levels. And at one level, we live in a world where there are a lot of weeds. There are a lot of weeds. A lot of bad people, a lot of bad things, a lot of things that we want to remove from the garden. And it makes sense to see this as those weeds being people that we just chunk and are happy they're going to hell. happy about it? The other problem is, if you interpret the parable that way, which again, please feel free, you've got Jesus saying, I'm just going to let evil grow unconfronted until the end. But he didn't do that, did he? He confronted that which is against God directly. He confronted the priests for starving the widows. He confronted racism by welcoming Samaritans. He confronted the money changers. Remember this? When he went into the temple and he's there to worship and he sees the money changers who are cheating people, one gospel says he makes a whip out of cords and is cracking that whip. He tears the place apart. Jesus did not let evil go unabated. So the story can't just be about that. Can it? And we should not feel good about the fact that some people are sinners and are just going to go to hell and burn there and be all happy about it. As if we have everything figured out. If you go to Matthew's gospel, who does Jesus say is going to hell? When I was hungry, he gave me food. When I was thirsty, he gave me some drink. When I was in prison, he gave me food. When I was sick, he gave me food. When I was a stranger, he welcomed me. And those that are going to heaven are going to say, when did we do that, Jesus? To you. And Jesus said, when you did it to the least of these, you did it for me. Then who's going to hell? When I was hungry, you didn't care. When I was thirsty, you didn't give me anything to drink. When I was in prison, you wrote me off. When I was sick, you said so sad. And they're going to say, Jesus, when did we see you in that state? He's going to say, when you did not do it to the least of these, you did not do it to me. So this parable has got to mean something more. Not less. More. I believe there's a personal nature to this parable as well as a worldly. And that's what I want to talk about. Is that all right? We're God's garden. And we start out perfect. God looked at us and said, you're good. You're good. I created you to be you. And then something happened, didn't it? Weeds grew. And some of those weeds are pretty painful. Went through divorce. Someone took your job. Someone fired you. You have a skeleton full of closets. You keep the door shut tightly. But you know every now and then it springs open. You've all made some messy beds. Still laying in them. We have these big, ugly, giant, rotten to the core weeds. And we want to be perfect. But we regret the state of our garden. So our first inclination is to do what? Rip those weeds out. The problem with that is you can't go relive history. You can't turn back time. You can't go to the time before that weed took root and grew in you. If we spend our whole lives looking at the weeds, we're going to miss what's important. Max Lucado, anybody know him? He's an author, sermon, preacher, very prolific. In one of his books, and I can't remember which one it was, so sorry, you can look it up. I should know it, but I don't. He told about his daughter and how he missed the good things because he had weeds that most people wouldn't think were weeds in his life. He was busy at the church, had a book deadline he needed to get done, He and his wife got into a little argument that she won. They always do. His life is just bubbling over. And so he's just going through the motion. As he gets ready for the office, he opens up his briefcase and throws in the lunch. He sees there's already one in there. He turns to his daughter, who's about 7, and says, "What's this?" And she's like, "It's not lunch, Daddy. It's just, I gave you some stuff that I thought you'd like to play with at work." He seemed so sad. He closed that briefcase, got to the office. All heck is breaking loose. He's overwhelmed. He's tired. He doesn't want to be there. Can you get with it? So lunch comes, and he figures, I'll wolf down a bologna sandwich in my pack and get on with this day. Hopefully it'll be over quick. And so he opens up the sandwich, he's chewing it, he sees this bag, and he forgot even where it came from. He says, "What's this?" He rips it open like it's nothing and dumps out the contents. Bologna sandwich, 2 paper clips, a rubber band, 1 Hershey Kiss, 1 eaten Hershey Kiss, just the wrapper, 2 little dolls, a pine cone, a smiley face button, John. He finished the sandwich, swept off the desk, went back about a busy, important day, tending weeds. He got home, his daughter came running up. He's like, "Dad, did you like my bag?" Yeah, it was cute. I knew it helped. Can I have it back? Who else? He said, "Honey, I left it at the office." Worried about it all night. About 9 o'clock at night, he goes to the office and the custodian's working late. He tells the custodian, "Have you emptied the trash?" The custodian said, "Yeah, I did that hours ago." He's like, "Well, where is it?" And the custodian says, "Well, why do you," and he told him. The custodian says, "I got a daughter, I get it." 2 of them spent the next 2.5 hours going through bags after bag after bag of garbage until they found this little paper bag, and they found the 2 paper clips and the Hershey Kiss and the little wrapper. They found the little dolls. They found everything. He went to his office with this mess that had coffee grounds on it, grease stains. It was nasty, but he taped it up as best he could. He took it home. When his daughter woke up, there it was on the table. She said, "Thanks, Dad." She didn't mind that it had coffee grounds. She didn't mind that it had stains, that the bag had been ripped up. She understood now that her dad knew how important this bag was. It was those treasures she had in life. See, if we're not careful with the weeds that other people have, and with the weeds that we have, kind of plucking them, we're going to miss the important part of life. So Jesus says, let them grow together. I used to work with at-risk youth, and this one kid was a jerk. I mean, I can say nice, eloquent things, but he personally wasn't a jerk, but he acted like one. He personally wasn't evil, but he acted evil. He personally wasn't violent, but he acted violent. You know what I mean? This kid had some serious weeds. We'd have to restrain him day in and day out so he wouldn't hurt himself or hurt staff. This is terrible. It's terrible. One time I found him we had a de-escalation center. That's where you take kids you don't know what to do. Just kind of say, find yourself here. And the program manager is mad. All she can see is a weed that needs to be plucked out of the program. He had just thrown milk, cartons all over his wall. She was just fit to be tied. I walked in and she said, "You better do something, I'm gonna kill him." And she meant it. So I went into his room and I'm like, "What's the problem?" And he cussed. Wow. Sometimes, you know, when you're cussed at, you just gotta say, "How did you put that string of words together and make it that coherent?" Like, I got him to calm down. We got a mop, we mopped the walls, mopped the floor. And then the staff, the one that was looking for weeds, she walked around giving out her cookies. "You've been good, you can have a cookie. You've been good, you can have a cookie." She hung him. He's standing at the window, "Don't I get a cookie?" And she's like, "No. Bad kids don't get cookies. Only good ones." She gave me a cookie. I looked at her. You know what she said? "Don't you do it." I said, "Do what?" "Don't you do it." "That's mine. It's my cookie now. I was a good boy." "No." And I said, "Come with me." Walked into this kid's room. And I said, "Here's the deal. I believe in grace. It's a free gift you don't deserve, you can't earn, and you surely haven't earned this cookie. But if your mom were here, I bet she wouldn't have it." And I gave it to him. This kid started to cry. He went into a fetal position. And it's at that point, staff no longer saw him as a weed, but as a hurting child who needed help. See, if all we do is look at the weeds, we're going to miss what really matters in life. So here's what I believe regarding weedy, disgusting parts of it. And you may feel like a weed. But take heart, says Jesus. Jesus says, "Don't pick the weed." When we die, I think God does that. God comes in and harvests all of our weeds. We see him, hot, sick mess. Throws them in the fire. All those regrets, all those mistakes, all those times we were called dumb, all those hurts, all those pains. And then he gathers our wheat, places it in our arms. And that's what we carry into heaven. Not the wheat. The wheat. You have great value. Don't let the weeds fool you. You have great worth. Don't let the craziness of this world silence it. The question we have to ask ourselves is, how many truckloads is it going to take to haul on our feet? The yucky parts, God does it. The good parts, we carry in that. Can I paint one more picture for you? I don't know who sang this song, and I have searched for it, so if you find it, let me know. God, thank you, that's all I know. There's this guy, he dies and he goes to heaven. He's waiting in heaven's light. And this person with a different skin tone comes up next to him and says, "Excuse me." He's like, "Do I know you?" And the guy's like, "Probably not, but when I was in a third world country and they had glasses and they donations, you such a pair of glasses where I was at. I could see clearly for the first time. Thank you." And another lady touched him and says, "You know that $50 you gave for breast cancer work? who went to research to help me. Thank you. The guy looks up and just sees this long line of people waiting to take him. That's going to be us someday. Weeds. Wheat. We need to focus on growing wheat. Not because we have to, because we want to. It matters. So don't pick the wheat. Let God handle that. You just hold on to that wheat. Let us pray. Lord, life comes at us from every angle. We try to be good gardens, and yet, as we sleep, an enemy comes.